Do you love me? Are you playing your love games with me? I don't know what to tell you right now, because I need your love a lot. Come on now. What's up, guys? I'm Corey, and joined with me is Christian.
Hello, Internet.
And this is the Powerful Nerdcast, Episode 5.
Boom. We're halfway to 10, Corey.
I know,
and
we're
that
almost
makes
in double
me
digits.
excited. I'm very excited.
I am.
Powerful. And also, we have been doing it every week, which isn't that surprising. We release a ton of videos, but I'm happy we're actually keeping it up, and we've been getting nothing but good responses. So thank you, everyone. We're going to keep the content coming. We're actually going to have another guest on today's podcast, but Corey and I want to talk about some things they probably won't know about. So we're going to just hang out for a little bit, and then we're going to add on that interview in a minute. So we'll see how all that works out. And again, we're, trying new formats and stuff. So yeah, Corey, you were very excited about a Naruto cosplay that you saw recently.
Yes, this is actually kind of interesting. You guys have probably already heard about this. There's been a lot of buzz about it. There's going to be this live-action Naruto musical stage show in Japan.
So
now,
why does this... Okay, anyone can do that. I think I've even seen things like that at a convention. But you think that like the level they're taking it to is like next level. So
it's
that's
really
why
good.
It's getting you excited.
And the thing that's really surprising about it, when I first heard, Naruto live action stage musical, my first thought goes to, oh, this is basically Naruto on ice. This is going to end up being really bad. You're going to see a lot of people in mascot uniforms. It's actually not the case at all. And the amount of production they're actually putting into the costuming is good, because I never thought I'd say this, but just after looking at the costumes here, there could possibly be a live-action Naruto movie. It could happen within our lifetime. That's how good it is. In fact, here, I'm just going to show you some of the pictures right now, which I'm going to blow this up real quick. This is just some of the main cast members of the movie. You have Kiba, Hinata, Shino, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji.
It looks pretty good.
And the thing that's most surprising to me is, and this is something that a lot of people have been joking about, people are like, wow, they look really awesome, but did someone just like get a bucket of dirt and like toss it all over them?
They're all, I call battle damaged. They all have, but they were doing a photo shoot and they wanted them all to look like they were, fighting ninja wars and stuff. And they look good. The Hinata looks really good. The
Hinata scares me how good it looks. Like, if there was ever to be a live-action version of Hinata, this is it right here. And I really like how
Show me Naruto.
Naruto is a little more interesting, but this is just a few of the characters that they've actually shown off thus far. This is, by the way, it's called the Live Spectacle of Naruto, but this is your shot of Naruto right there.
Okay, looks
You can see
cool.
He has like Kyuubi chakra around him, and he's all powered up and pumped up. And, interestingly, just kind of like really Hollywood movies, they always cast older people to play teenagers. Obviously, a lot of these characters look like they're a lot older, and it is interesting to note that this is part 1 Naruto. This is before they get into the Shippuden and the time skip, but this is
so
interesting.
They're doing middle school Naruto first?
Basically, yeah. They're starting out literally from the very beginning of the series. In fact, Zabuza and Haku are going to be in the very first one. In fact, here's some more pictures if you just want to look bigger versions. There's Hinata, which...
I think I glanced at those, and I thought they were almost like a drawing. Like, now that I'm seeing that Hinata photo, I was like, oh, I've seen that, and it looks really good.
It's like, it kind of blows me away, and I like that they're trying to make it look like the anime version. Like, clearly you look at that, your first thing is, oh, that's Hinata, but the amount of detail in the actual hoodie that she has is way more detailed than anything you see in the anime or manga version. You don't actually see all the weird cross-hatchings and stitches all over it, but it still looks distinctly Hinata, and it actually has, like, the same look. You look at a character like Shino, looks like he just jumped off the damn pages. He even still has the big, like, turtleneck that's covering his entire face.
Yeah, it looks really good.
And, frankly, I love it. Kiba, again, it looks like they're perfectly choosing the actors. These guys look like the actual characters, which to me is disturbing, because a show like Naruto and an anime, manga, like, I look at those characters and I'm just like, there's no way they could pull these guys off in live action.
I've had lengthy conversations with you that you say there's things in anime that just lend themselves to be animated, and they're hard to do in real life. That's why live action stuff doesn't work. Which does lead me to my one like devil's advocate moment where I have to say, you're not seeing any of them move yet. You're not seeing the effects behind them. You're seeing one still image. So to say that could necessarily transfer into a movie, I don't know. I'd have to see, but we have seen that fan film. You remember that Naruto versus Rock Lee fan film that those guys made?
I'm really glad you mentioned that. I am going to send you another video. One just came out this week. Someone did a Neji versus Tenten video, which is live action, and it's really well done. Like, the choreography is amazing. They use music from the show. They have a few special effects.
Is it so? You think they is made by the same people?
No. Actually, it might be the people who did the Rock Lee video.
Yeah.
There is a possibility for that. If you guys have not seen that, I'll put a link for that in the description box below.
And these pictures. So
and all these pictures. Naruto fans, you're totally going to dig it. Like, it's not too often that I'm actually starting to appreciate this live-action Naruto stuff. But this actually gives a little bit of possibility and credence for it. And, my God, they found the perfect Ino. Looks just like her, even has blonde hair. They're going as far as to, like, even making their hair, like, anime colored, like. And that's something that's really hard to pull off in live action, because, I mean, you know, Hinata has blue hair, but you aren't even bothered by that.
We haven't even talked about that. Was that Choji I saw?
Choji, yeah. Choji looks really good. Like,
because he's a ridiculous sort of character, like, when you turn him into real life because of his hair and stuff, but they pulled it off. That's the thing. I'm like,
they did
wow.
And, you know, they even included, like, the more unrealistic kind of anime elements to it. Like, he actually does have the swirls on his cheeks, which, when watching the anime version and reading it, I never imagined that Choji actually had those swirls. I always imagined, like, it was, like, paint that he was putting on his face in order to make it do that. Or he had,
like, never mind. He had rosacea of the cheeks because he's so fat and his blood circulation sucks.
Okay,
so
I thought that was about to go somewhere really bad, and thank God it didn't.
No, never mind.
But the thing is, I'm not off-put by this, and this is the type of stuff that actually kind of bothers me. We do need to remember, though, this is not a movie. This is for a live-action show, so there's absolutely no telling how this is going to work out.
We haven't seen Sasuke either, have we?
We have actually seen Sasuke. There are a few more pictures that I haven't shown you. There's one of the third Hokage, which Zabuza and Haku, which looks so amazing. Let's see if I can find a few more pictures here because I got links to them. Here's Zabuza. Check this dude out. Look at that.
Here's the thing. I'm very impressed with that Zabuza, and it's obviously the best Zabuza I've ever seen. But I've also seen a fuck ton of really good Zabuzas in cosplay in real life, so that didn't impress me that much.
Yeah.
Because how many cool ones have we seen?
Oh, we've
seen a ton.
We've hung out and talked with people and learned how they've made their weapons. You know, Zabuza is one of those characters that's almost like sort of like transcended the popularity of Naruto. He's kind of like Link at anime conventions.
Yes.
You always see them.
Yes.
Even if you don't see like huge
People
droves.
love that sword.
They do. It's a cool sword. It's a big giant decapitating blade. But whenever you go to like an anime convention or a comic book convention, there's always a Link. And even if there's not a lot of Naruto people, there's always at least one Zabuza somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is really awesome, and that's a testament to his popularity. But there you go again. There's a Naruto and Sakura, who's still sporting the pink hair. We have Iruka. And I don't know, just, it looks good to me. It's surprising. It's just, I'm kind of interested to see how they're going to portray that in the live action.
Oh, was that a Hokage?
Oh, this was the third Hokage. Look at him.
Yeah, that's
he looks
so cool.
awesome. He looks
like
just
the wise
like him.
old kung fu master.
But you remember how I said, like, they're all covered in dirt and dust, and, like, look, there's even Sasuke and Gaara. So they're going up to the Chunin exam in the live-action special, which I think is awesome. And again, I think these look great.
Well, like I said, it could definitely work. And these images, while completely one frame only in a controlled studio, I'd like to see how they actually look on stage. But it looks good. Because
that's the thing, you know, Naruto and anime and manga in general is very stylized. And that's something that is very hard to pull off in live action. You know, like you said, still images are one thing. You know, you look at this picture of Haku right here, who looks awesome. Wind is blowing, all the tassels are blowing in the wind. Yeah. How's that going to look on stage?
How's the actor move? How does the actor understand Kakashi? Whoa, Kakashi looks fucking badass.
Yeah. Again, that Kakashi's another one of those situations where it's like you always see Kakashis at an anime convention.
Yeah, like,
hell, even I did Kakashi once.
Yeah, everyone's seen Kakashi, but his hair is perfect. It's got the gray and the black accents.
The eyes, the actual Konoha flak jackets look really cool. So I'm excited for it. You know, obviously this is something that's not going to come stateside. If we ever see something like this, it's going to be like on a YouTube video.
Shaky cam.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be through someone's little like potato cell phone is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But again, we want to hear from you guys. Are you excited about this live action stage show? And do you think there should be a live action Naruto movie? Please tell us in the comments section below.
Yeah, well, I am excited about that, so I'm glad you shared that today, Corey.
Yes, I've been really wanting to talk about that for a long time, and if there is any more information released about it, maybe I'll do a video about it, because I am following it very closely. I do think it's interesting.
I was impressed that you even entertained the idea of a live-action Naruto, because you were that was almost like poison to your ears.
I know. You know, it's just... Dragon Ball Evolution just left such a bad taste in my mouth, and not just that, but a lot of other live-action anime as well, which this isn't something that I had planned, but they did announce that they're making a Ghost in the Shell movie, live-action American.
I think I've heard that rumor forever, though.
Yeah, exactly, but now I think it actually has some precedence to it because you know who they've potentially cast as the main character, Motoko? Take a guess. Like, big Hollywood actress.
You're talking Hollywood. You're talking anyone in the world.
Yeah.
Credibility. I have no idea.
Exactly. Well, this one seemed kind of obvious because she is a very big star right now. She's been in a lot of action movies. That is... God, now I forgot her name.
What's she in? That's good enough.
I'm completely lost on this. Scarlett Johansson is really what it is.
Lucy.
Yes, Lucy, or Black Widow from Marvel's The
Black
Avengers.
Widow. Yeah, exactly. Black Widow.
But yeah, she's been potentially cast as the main lead in that movie, which, you know, seems okay, but everyone's pissed off because why in the hell is a white person playing Agent Motoko from Ghost in the Shell? And there are actually petitions. Online petitions to get her removed from this project.
Yeah, but there's petitions to get large sodas out of fast food places. You know?
Exactly. Ain't gonna happen. No. Unless you're McDonald's and you fall to Super Size Me peer pressure.
Yeah, but Super Size Me was gross anyway. I'm glad that doesn't exist.
It's a funny movie. But getting back on topic, that's another thing that's interesting about these big live action movies. And people seem to want to pick and choose their battles because, you know, Ghost in the Shell, starring a white chick. All right, then we go to the live-action Attack on Titan film, which is opening in Japan, clearly based on a Japanese manga anime series, but the main cast itself is all Japanese, except that if you look at Attack on Titan, most of the characters are of European descent. Don't hear anybody complaining about that.
Well, also, what that shows you is pretty simply put that if the country that makes it is probably going to put their people in it.
Exactly.
That's all.
That's really all it is, and it all comes down to cultural differences and everything. And I honestly think ScarJo could probably do a decent job with that series. It's just there's already tons of new Ghost in the Shell anime movies. There doesn't need to be a live action.
I hope it works. You know why I hope it works? Because with the Marvel Universe working so well, and then you getting a key actor from the Marvel Universe, which I'm sure also means some of the Marvel Universe experience. You know, and inputs it into a live action anime. Imagine if live action anime blew up like the Marvel Universe did. Like
that could be the next thing.
That could be gigantic. So I think it's good that they're trying. And if they could ever do it, it could be now.
You know, there are live action anime movies that can work. There was one that I watched recently. I didn't watch all of it. It's based on an anime and manga series called Rurouni Kenshin, which you may have remembered from Toonami back in the day. Is the red-haired samurai. And those live action movies are actually pretty decent. Like, they follow the manga version. They look really good. All of the characters look like they jumped right off the pages. And that's something I hope they are going to be able to accomplish. But let's bring it back to the Marvel Universe again, because there's just always news about these brand new Marvel movies that are coming out because they're cranking out so many of them. Brand new X-Men movie, X-Men Apocalypse. It's going to be really awesome. They're bringing back a lot of classic characters. They just cast... New bad guy, which is Apocalypse, one that, frankly, I've been wanting to see for a long time. He's kind of like one of the biggest baddies of all the X-Men universe.
Here's a good question for you before we get too much into that, or too much farther into that. Who do you think is going to be the biggest badass? Do you think it's going to be Apocalypse? Who's the bad guy in Guardians?
In Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, who's the
the guy with the
Thanos?
Thanos. Oh, like the big in the Marvel universe. Yeah.
So,
Thanos would destroy Apocalypse. He'd
so?
destroy him with his pinky. Thanos is, without a doubt, in my opinion, probably the most physically cosmic energy powered being in the entire Marvel universe. He is like he's kind of like the Frieza of that universe, except that there's no one else above him.
The thing is, though, like, he may be the biggest conscious force, but there are larger forces. You know,
there are cosmic energy forces within the Marvel universe.
Like the Phoenix Force?
Yeah.
Like, which is stupid if you can imagine the Phoenix Force is technically maybe more powerful than Thanos.
There's, you know, comic logic is weird, too. And this also depends, does Thanos have the Infinity Gauntlet? Does the Infinity Gauntlet have all of the stones in it? You know, there's a lot of factors to the battle. He doesn't always have the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, and it doesn't have all the stones because they just locked away one of them. In the last Guardian of the Galaxy. So at least doesn't have that one, if he even has the Infinity Gauntlet. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is, what do you think, okay, let's just predict. You're going to go watch X-Men, and then you're going to go watch the last Guardian of the Galaxies when they fight Thanos. What fight do you think is going to be better?
Oh, it's going to be Thanos.
It's going to be better?
But the only reason it's going to be Thanos is because the amount of buildup that they brought for it, because you mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy, but like it's actually going to end in the Infinity War, which is going to be the only Marvel movie that's gotten 2 parts. It's being divided into 2 films.
Okay.
And this is all these movies that they're releasing is kind of like building up to that event.
Yeah.
Like little by little. You know, Thanos is in the background, but I think the more we get closer to the end of it, we're really going to start to see him with a bigger presence, especially if they do a Guardians 2, which they're definitely doing it. They've already announced it. They've already announced it. It's a huge movie. But the Thanos battle, the problem with that battle, too, is it can almost be too good. To where they kind of like put themselves in a corner. It's like, oh man, this is like, we just brought all our universes together and had the most ultimate battle that brought together everyone from Earth and space and cosmic dimensions. Because once they bring in Doctor Strange, that's going to open up a whole nother element. Because we know there's Earth, there's dimensions like Asgard, and then there's places in space. Doctor Strange is like an elemental world dimension that goes into all these different places and weird cosmic beings and monsters.
Is he like the Mr. Manhattan?
Not so much. He's like a mystical being. He's kind of like, his name is Doctor Strange, but he's more like a warlock, if anything.
Okay.
Like he uses like mystical, magical powers, which
So
you know
kind of
that's gonna bring in like the Ghost Rider element.
Is he kind of like a shaman? I guess I've just never seen his.
I don't really know how to. You know, I'm not the biggest Doctor Strange expert.
I don't even know what he looks like.
If you saw him, you might remember him. He looks like a real old school type of superhero. Like he has a big flowing red cape.
Oh,
and,
he kind of looks like Dracula or something.
A little bit, actually. Yeah, he kind of looks like Dracula a little bit, more like a modern day like Konami version of Dracula.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what Doctor Strange is. And but still, like you said, I do think Thanos is going to be amazing. That being said, I'm excited for Apocalypse just because we're moving in a new direction.
Yeah, and they left the X-Men series in such a good place. Mm-hmm. So why don't they just knock this out of the park? And to me, if they knock it out of the park, I think it guarantees that X-Men are going to at least behind the scenes be offered to, or there's going to be an offer to get X-Men in the Marvel Universe.
You know, and it's I want it to happen too. The thing that's going to be the biggest deal breaker with that franchise is if they're like, are we going to use the previous X-Men? Or are we going to completely reboot them for our universe? Because the X-Men series has such a long-established franchise. You know, you think back to X-Men 1. That came out in 2000. 2000.
That was a long time ago.
That's crazy. That series has been going on for a really long time, and that's an incredible accomplishment, especially considering they've been able to keep all of the actors and like same producers and everything. You know, that shows at least the people that are making it are passionate about it, except when it comes to X-Men Origins Wolverine, but whatever. Let's get back to X-Men Apocalypse. There is a brand new member of the X-Men that's going to be joining. One that has not been in a live-action X-Men movie since the second one, and is arguably one of the best parts about that movie.
Gambit?
And it's freaking Nightcrawler.
Oh, Nightcrawler, yeah.
Yes.
Not Gambit.
Not Gambit, no. Gambit's apparently getting his own movie, but Nightcrawler is going to be returning for X-Men Apocalypse, and X2, the opening scene in the White House, is one of the greatest openings to any superhero movie I've ever seen.
I remember being in theaters watching that and being like, oh yeah, this is going to be good.
And
that seems amazing.
It is.
The videography and everything, really, or cinematography, I should say, in a film. But yeah, and you also felt like these mutants are super powerful. Like you felt really like defenseless during that scene. I don't know. What was your impression? When
That's
you were
a really great way of putting it. Like they really did a great job of demonstrating the powers of that mutant, and you could say that scene is kind of stereotypical because it does a lot of like slow-mo and stuff, but I thought it did it really well. I especially loved how they created the puffs of smoke for Nightcrawler, which I'm not even really that big of a Nightcrawler fan because I only read the X-Men comics so much, and I mostly know what I know from watching a lot of TV shows and movies. But just I don't ever remember there being like really huge puffs of blue smoke, and they just made it look so atmospheric and awesome. And what I loved most about that Nightcrawler is he was perfectly cast. I believe the actor's name was Ian Cumming, and he looked like Nightcrawler. And that's what they're doing with this other new guy by the name of Cody Smith McPhee. If you haven't heard of him, that's okay. He is kind of a new actor. He is a young guy, which actually I do appreciate because all the new X-Men are going to be younger.
Yeah.
But he has done some movies like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I think he was just one of the background younger characters. And then he did an animated film a couple of years ago, which was a stop-motion claymation called Paranorman. And he was actually the voice of the main kid from that movie. So he's very new, but here's a take a look at this guy. You can see he literally looks just like Nightcrawler, except...
Oh, yeah, that's a good Nightcrawler.
Without the blue. Like, he just,
You make him blue.
Exactly. That's all. Even his hair. Keep it the same. Make the dude blue. Give him some pointy ears. Put a freaking devil's tail on him. And he is set to go. Yeah. Speaking of which, this just popped into my head. Did they... I don't know if I remembered this or not. Did they ever do anything with the character of Azazel, who is the red-looking Nightcrawler, who I believe is actually his father. Like, after First Class, they went ahead and did Days of Futures Past, so we never really saw what happened to that guy, did he? Or did he die in First Class?
I think he died.
Did he?
He died.
I completely forgot about that guy. I just remember how awesome he was in that movie.
The more intense version of Nightcrawler.
Like, I love how he would pick people up and teleport in the sky and then just drop them and come back down. Like, that was such a unique way to use his powers. I was really hoping that guy would return. He's really awesome.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be more to him, but I'm pretty sure he died. I think they tricked him with some sort of, because they just made him warp into a knife or something like that. And he was like, ugh.
Now I know, now I remember that happening. Ugh, it's so disappointing. I really like that. But I'm excited for Nightcrawler returning. I hope they do something more with the character this time, and I hope they keep him a consistent part of the team, because that was really a big bummer when X3 came around and everybody kept saying, where the hell's Nightcrawler? Where is Nightcrawler? They just completely swept him under the rug.
They're like, we don't have time to pay for all that CG again, so we're out of here.
And the funny thing is, his character too, it wasn't CG all the time. Like, they did a really great job just on the makeup effects on that guy. Like, all the scars they put in him, that was something that never existed with Nightcrawler before.
Yeah, and I remember the first time they actually had a conversation with him, they went in that barn and found him and started talking to him and realized that he had been hypnotized or drugged or something to do all that stuff at the White House. I just thought the actor did a great job, and his face was very believable. It didn't look like a dude with makeup on. It looked like an X-Men. It looked really good. I don't know. It's a shame they abandoned that character.
Yeah, I know. It really sucks. Apparently, the only way you could learn, I think I remember, if you wanted to know what happened to Nightcrawler, they released a shitty video game back in the day. How they always used to do movie tie-in games? Yeah. They did an X-Men 2 game, or maybe it was an X-Men 3 game, and you get to figure out, what happened to Nightcrawler during all those events, but who the hell played that game and figured out what the hell happened to Nightcrawler? And that's a crappy way to do something with a really fun and awesome character, especially one as unique as Nightcrawler.
Yeah, it's not really fair that they just do that.
But last big topic I have for you is another Hollywood topic, something I think hopefully you'll appreciate, is there's going to be a brand new Aliens movie.
Okay.
Which is crazy. I thought they were not a reboot.
A remastering.
Or at least that we know of quite yet. What is interesting is I kind of thought the Alien franchise was dead. Because after they did Alien Resurrection, they were sort of done. Sigourney Weaver was done. She started working in other movies.
They did Prometheus.
They did Prometheus, which Ridley Scott did. And that was, to me, the final nail in the Alien coffin.
It was sad.
They're done with it. They're moving on
to
it.
It was beautiful, though.
Beautiful movie. Kind of a mess, though, in terms of storytelling.
Yeah.
Something I didn't want to accept at first. But still, that's just the way it is.
It wasn't that great.
I am anxious for the brand new Prometheus 2, which supposedly is happening. But as we wait for that, there's going to be a brand new Alien movie, which is going to be directed by, and I pray I pronounce this correct, but I'm probably not going to. It is Neil Blomkamp, or Blomkamp. I don't really have no idea how to pronounce his name, but he's worked on a...
will get it for you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. But he's worked on a lot of famous movies like District 9 and Elysium, and he has another brand new sci-fi movie coming out called Chappie, which looks like the combination of a robot bunny and Briareos from Appleseed. Oh, yeah. So this guy has a really big sci-fi career ahead of him, and he's already getting ready to work on one of the biggest film franchises of all time. And it's going to be Aliens. And what's most interesting about it is he's actually going to try and bring back Sigourney Weaver and even Michael Biehn, who played Corporal Hicks, or you might remember him as Kyle Reese from Terminator. He's actually going to be coming back, which... That's strange because in Alien 3, he was seemingly dead. So I'm really...
They made him a robot, Corey. He's got white blood. That's what's going to happen.
Probably. That would be cool, though, if they brought back the whole android thing again and made him an android. Just to see him again, because I haven't seen Michael Biehn in anything except
I thought he, quit acting or something. I haven't seen him in anything. Just like the guy in, Starship Trooper. He just, quit acting after that.
The main actor in Starship?
Yeah.
What was his name? I think his name was Casper something.
I don't know. He's not in anything anymore.
That's true, but
Sorry, I knocked you totally off track.
No, dude, it's cool. I'm just trying to desperately remember the lead actor's name from Starship Troopers, which I believe was Casper Van Dien.
You should Google that, see if you're right.
I have to look at that right now. That's such a distinctive name that it has to be that guy, Casper
Von Dien.
Casper Von Dien. It is. It's totally, man.
There is Corey's iron memory, which he can remember anything.
If it's a crappy sci-fi movie, or one that's held in high regard to
the cult classics.
The cult classic, yeah, I'll remember it. But I don't know. I'm just shocked that they're doing another Alien movie because what other story is to be told in that universe? I mean, you know, it started out as kind of like a horror franchise, and then James Cameron made it action.
Why don't they just make the aliens go to Earth and just kill everyone?
That's the easy answer. I don't want it to turn into like just a
Alien World War,
you know, by numbers horror film, because I think the best thing about the Aliens movies is how atmospheric they can be.
No, that's how good the first one was.
But that's not true. But I mean, the second movie, Aliens, was done by James Cameron, and it's a gung-ho action movie.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what I'm saying. They're kicking indoors, shooting aliens left and right, and they couldn't even kill one in the first one.
I mean, you know, Halo, the video game series, would not exist if it were not for the Aliens movies.
The Flood feels like the Aliens.
Mm-hmm. They kind of have like that same feel.
Yeah, they have definitely that feel. I also think Halo is one of the best world-building games of its generation, or maybe of all time. Not of all, like, not that it's number one, but the Halo world in a single player of the first game is like a lot of fun. Do you not think so?
No, I have to admit, like, I used to be a huge hater of Halo, but that's because when I was younger, I totally like played on my side of the field, like I was a Nintendo guy.
Yeah, and you had to back up your crowd.
Yeah, I had to back up the Smash Melee crowd. Everybody else was. I remember that, like 2001 Christmas. I went over to a friend's house. One half of the house all playing Xbox, all like. The brand new Halo just came out. Everybody's flipping out. Other half of the house all playing Super Smash Brothers Melee. Not a single person from either side ever migrated to the other. Everybody stayed in their camps, and it was absolutely... I didn't even play Halo. Like, you remember Cody?
Yeah,
like, that was when we were playing Melee for the first time. Like, we unlocked Mewtwo that night. It was the shit.
We unlocked Mewtwo.
But yeah, I do think Halo has a lot of potential, and you know, bringing up Neil Blomkamp again, like Blomkamp, he was the guy who originally was going to make the Halo movie, right?
Yes, he is the director that did District 9, Chappie, and what was the newest? Elysium.
Elysium. With Matt Damon.
He did pretty good.
Which, again, I think that's probably his worst movie.
That movie looked good.
The
story...
kind of teetered off a little bit.
The teeter, and the main bad guy was the main character in District 9, that actor, who's also a really good actor. I didn't think he did very good as the bad guy, though. Or I didn't believe the bad guy's motivation. I'm just evil. This guy's tricked me a few too many times, so I just got to kill him now. You know, like, why? You know, it just didn't seem that great to me. But Elysium was by far that guy's weakest movie. Everything else he's made is awesome. And he was going to make the Halo movie. And you can imagine a Halo movie looking like District 9 would be awesome. And also, do you remember they have the weird alien mech in District 9? Like, that could have been a hunter, you know, from Halo. And you could have had, like, elites all around him and everything. It would have been really good. The aliens in District 9 look like elites.
A little bit, yeah. In some senses.
Yeah, and the face is a little different, but yeah. So you could see how all those resources were sitting there getting ready, and then they're like, the Halo movie got canned, and he's like, fuck it, I'll just make District 9. Yeah.
It kind of shows, too, because I distinctly remember when we were walking out of the theater at District 9, like, I remember saying, like, wow, they could do a live-action Halo, just from what they did in that movie. And, you know, District 9 CG is really good. Like, it holds up better than a lot of CG that I've seen over the years. And that movie had a very small budget. And they did so good with it in that movie.
Well, the other thing they do a lot with CG now is motion tracking. And that's where you get realistic movement. Because you get these dudes with the suits with the dots. So the aliens are just getting built on top of all this realistic, like, movement. So they look real, and the way the actors interact with them. They're no longer, like, screaming at tennis balls anymore. You know, like, so that helps. And I think that was, like, one of the first movies to really, like, capture that, because you feel bad for those aliens all the way through that movie, and the juxtaposition of the aliens in one of the poorest areas in the world, and they're the last class citizens, while like the starving Africans, you know, like shit on them. You know, it was sort of a strange movie, a good like almost showing the true nature of humans or something like that. You know, like if something's different, we'll still push it away.
I mean, District 9 wasn't just trying to tell a cool sci-fi story, but it also had a political message as well. And I think that really shined through. But I'm just, every time I watch it, I always appreciate something different. And I still say the CG is so bold because most of the movie, I'd say 90% of it takes out in broad daylight. And for them to show off their CG that much, just, they're like, hey, try to find the flaws. We dare you. It looks that good.
It does
and
look that good.
That's what's really impressive. And I'm glad that he's going to be bringing his skills to the Alien franchise, which is something
Seems like
that
they can pay the bills.
yeah, they really need a refresher, because I didn't care much for Alien Resurrection just because I don't know. There were some fun parts, and I will admit it was well shot. And I might be wrong about this. I might be completely wrong, but I think that Alien Resurrection, the fourth one, was done by Joss Whedon. Who
it has a very Wheaton feel.
Yeah, it does. Who, you know, he's gone on to do really big things, the Marvel movies.
But he also that was the one with that mercenary crew that came through, right? Mm-hmm. That felt like Firefly in the Alien universe. Think about that when you watch it and you see the dialogue and stuff. It's a darker Firefly in, you know, the Alien universe, and everyone dies.
That's a good point. I mean, like I said, there are parts about that movie I like. I love Ron Perlman to freaking death.
Oh yeah,
that dude is amazing
in
everything he's in. But again, he's another one of those actors who's transcended himself. You go to see Ron Perlman. You know, that's what's really cool about that guy. But
he's the guy that plays Hellboy.
Yes,
which amazing.
I'd like to see more Hellboy. I know a lot of people don't care much.
Pacific
for
Rim
Hellboy.
2, then you can make another Hellboy. That's the order it has to go in.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah,
which it makes sense. This totally just, you know, the planets just align in my head. Pacific Rim was done by Guillermo del Toro, right?
Yeah, the Spanish.
Guillermo del Toro did Hellboy.
Peter Jackson.
He likes Ron Perlman.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I knew that immediately. He loves Ron Perlman.
I never even thought about that.
That's why
sense.
he was in Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
He was the fucking organ dealer.
Yeah.
The kaiju organ dealer.
The kaiju. If you haven't seen Pacific Rim, see it. It's freaking awesome. I haven't seen it in so long, but that's one of the better sci-fi movies that I've seen. That and District 9.
Just like you said, they could make a live-action Halo when you saw District 9. Mm-hmm. I think you could make a live-action Gundam because of...
Gundam is one of the few I think could work as a live-action movie. And the only reason...
Just has to be careful it's not Transformers, which it wouldn't be, but I'm saying like that look. It definitely would have to redefine itself a little more.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to make some changes, and that actually is okay because there are so many spin-offs of Gundam at this point, and so many alternate universes and continuations.
Or interpretations, almost.
Yes, yeah. So even if it sucked, we could just, whatever, it's another universe that we'll never pay attention to.
Yeah.
It won't mess with the original timeline. Like, there are literally, like, 10 or more different Gundam timelines, you know, some of which are exclusive to just their universe. So that's why I really think it could happen, you know. If they could somehow tie it into maybe one of the previous shows or seasons, go for it. But honestly, I'd like to see them do something really fresh with it. And, you know, there's no doubt in my mind it will happen. In fact, there has been a live-action Gundam before. Most people don't even realize it.
I've never seen it. I never even saw a screenshot of it.
It's called G-Savior. It came out in, I think, the late 90s or early 2000s. It was celebrating one of Gundam's anniversaries. I think it was its 20th. And it was a live-action movie. What's interesting about the movie is it's one of those CG movies where it's just like, it kind of feels like a sci-fi made-for-TV film.
Like a sci-fi Saturday morning sort of straight-to-TV movie?
Yeah, but it's just not that good. And it does star a multiracial cast, which is really surprising. It shows they're actually paying attention to the universe. Because in Gundam, a lot of the time, it's not all a bunch of Japanese people. There's a lot of people from different parts of the world because this takes place way far in the future. And what's interesting about the movie is there's only one Gundam in the whole movie, and they never refer to it as a Gundam ever. They call it the G-Savior. But
if they called it the J-Savior, it'd be much better in America.
Yeah. But what's interesting is like they never refer to it as a Gundam throughout the whole thing. But you look at it and you're like, that's a freaking Gundam. Like, it has the crest. It looks like a big robot samurai. It just... The thing is, they didn't try to make it seem like it fit within the movie world. It literally looks like they took like a Gundam design, made a CG model, and just tossed it in with live action actors. Like you said, they would have to make some adjustments to make it look slightly more realistic and practical.
But look at Iron Man. You see him in that cockpit with all the shit around. That could be a dude in a Gundam. And then, you know, obviously you'd have to show more of his body. But that's pretty cool, you know? And the whole visual connection from Pacific Rim, or mental connection to your robot, very Evangelion, you know? And that actually kind of was cool, too. Even though Evangelion, they go in little water pods. And actually, it's very weird. Evangelion, they shove them full of... No, just like in the beginning of Pacific Rim. Yeah, they obviously ripped that shit off.
I wouldn't say they ripped it off, but I'm not going to lie. When watching, I'm like, God, this is so much like Evangelion right now with the LCL filling up and they breathe it in. Like, it's just... I mean... Pacific Rim kind of is like a love letter, though, to like big mecha genre, though, in general.
It is.
I mean, they don't even wait to pull out the big powerful sword until like the very last second.
Yeah, because they want a big build up to that.
I mean, like,
it's like shing, okay, let me just kill him now.
That was a total Power Rangers moment.
Yeah.
Like when they're at the very end of the movie when they're like, no, we do have one more attack. And you see the sword, like you could hear the murmurs in the audience. Like just everybody was getting so excited at that moment. They knew it was coming when they saw that. And that's what I really loved about it.
It was really good. I think 2017 is when the next one's coming out, which I'll be there. Maybe not day one, but I'll go see it in theaters for sure. If theaters still exist, or I'll watch on advanced Netflix, whatever's out at the time. Hey, you guys, we're about to start our interview with the next guest, so get ready for that. I hope you enjoyed the podcast so far. What do you think, Corey? It's awesome, right?
I think it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We're next level. So stay tuned for the interview, guys.
Welcome back to the Powerful Nerdcast. We are Corey and Christian, and today we are joined by the Dream Writers. We have Nathan Bach and Shay Castle. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
And this is Nathan, and this is Shay, just so everyone knows.
Yes.
And they are bringing us a show called Dream Writers, and they are in the final stages of launching their Kickstarter campaign. And you guys are just looking for the world to give you guys a shot, and it looks really awesome. And
Thanks.
you guys have put in a lot of work to get to what is Dream Writers, and what would you say that is?
A television show.
Okay, that's
The end.
simple answer.
All right, thanks for having us,
Yes,
everybody.
yes, okay,
Appreciate it.
yes.
No, Dream Writers is. I mean, that's kind of a loaded question. I don't know. It's a comedy, present day comedy about three 20-somethings who have a very interesting job, and it's kind of based off of the idea of other people writing your dreams when you fall asleep. The thought of other people crafting your subconscious to dream a certain way, and our vision and our creative answer to why people dream is to get them influenced to meet their potential in life. So our characters they work for a top secret government agency that is in charge of grabbing other people from society who they deem are worthy, I guess is the word.
To get this assistance.
Yes.
Yeah.
To meet this potential in life. And they give them writers to write their dreams. And the team that we follow in the show are at the bottom of the barrel. They're the worst at their job.
They're the rookies.
Yeah.
Some of them are. Some of them are just not great at their job.
Right.
Looking for inspiration.
Yeah. So, and it just kind of follows their journey as they go along in this job, which is interesting and fantastical and magical, but also it's still just a job, So.
Something that I always thought was interesting is that, so these three characters get together. What are the characters' names?
Sam, Quinn, and Russell.
So they all get together, and then they get to imagine anything they want. And then it gets to come true in this fantasy dream world that the character that's chosen by the government, I guess, experiences.
Right.
It seems like you get unlimited creativity with that sort of portal that you can just create and open at any time you want within your story world. So that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what we were really excited about when we started developing the story was you don't limit yourself to, these guys, they work in Manhattan and they're a couple 20-something writers. They're trying to make their way through the world. You open yourself up to so much more than that because you could poke fun and make fun of so many different
it's almost like
culture things, and
Family Guy potential with the amount of comedy.
Yeah.
You can just cut away to anything you want.
It's
whenever you want.
a little bit more grounded in reality in terms of the characters, but when they're exploring dreams, it really can be anything. And that's really fun for us writing the show to poke fun and kind of live in all these different genres that are on television. We're not just an Office Place sitcom like The Office or Workaholics. We can explore stuff like we can have a Game of Thrones themed episode. We can do Star Wars. Anything we want to do, we can.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say that because one of my favorite shows that definitely I think looks like one of your shows is the Workaholics, which you just mentioned. And they are grounded in an office and things like that, but they just stretch those boundaries as far as they can. Too,
that was a big thing that we were talking about in development is that a lot of the shows that we love, Workaholics, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the shows that we have modeled ourselves after, in a lot of ways, the problem that I think you come into with those types of shows, and I'm not criticizing those shows by any means because they're huge influences of mine, but the problem that I've noticed in that type of comedy is that you don't have character development. So every year you have to up the ante. And if you see some of these shows that are like that, every year is a little bit more extreme. And if you actually see some of the promos for the newest season of Workaholics, they kind of poke fun at that a little bit.
Yeah, that was actually a really funny preview. They're like, it was like an epic action movie where it just goes bigger and bigger, and then they're like, and by the way, none of this will be in the season.
Right, right. And so for us, we tried to focus on that in development of like, are we going to be a serial type show, or are we going to be more of a Workaholics where it's always sunny, where you don't have to see the previous episode to understand what's going on in the current episode or in the next episode.
I call that the like Saturday morning cartoons way of writing, because you just establish characters and then you just go on adventures.
Right.
Yeah.
And you guys didn't want that. You wanted something a little deeper than that.
We did.
Yeah, it was something, a bit of a marriage between the two, because there are plenty of shows like Parks and Rec or The Office that you can watch any episode and still get a lot of enjoyment out of, and it's heightened if you've been following the characters and been following the relationship changes and kind of the things that they've been going through recently, and that's really what we're trying to tap into. It's not something like more dramatic shows like Breaking Bad or Dexter where there's a previously on at the beginning of the episode. You still can't sit down and enjoy it regardless of the order you're watching, but we want to make it more in depth for people that have been following us since the beginning.
Here's a good question then why'd you go with a television show? Why not like 3 movies or something like that?
Well, the biggest reason is, the obvious of that you just have more time. You have more time to flesh out these characters.
Explore the characters.
Yeah, I mean, you're really limited in shorts and features, and if you get a trilogy, you still really only get about 8 hours to explore these characters if you're lucky.
Even Peter Jackson didn't put everything in those movies.
Exactly. But if you have, if we're lucky, we're going to get, at least, 30, 40 hours to...
Dobby's subplot did not make it in the Harry Potter movie.
Still,
I'm still sad about it.
But you guys would have that with a television
absolutely.
show.
We would have an entire season dedicated to Dobby.
There we go.
What was it? Spew or whatever
we'll
was
give
there.
Him his justice. We won't just kill him on a beach.
Yeah, there we go. And I think I also want a whole season with just Smaug. It was like that was one of the coolest characters of the new Lord of the Rings films or the Hobbit films, and then he's gone in like an hour.
Yeah,
that's all he had.
The entire movie building up to it.
Yeah,
and but that's we really were focused on that, and we gave these characters an entire universe, an entire backstory that we intend to explore if we have the opportunity to make the show. And that's why we're pushing so hard for it, because we just want an opportunity to tell our story.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How long? You guys have also put a lot of work going into this. It's quite a few months, or maybe a year plus, and then you launched your Kickstarter. And you're in the middle of your Kickstarter right now. You get like 30 days or 40 days on Kickstarter.
Yeah, 30 days.
30 days. And how's it going? What's crowdfunding like? Like, what's that whole thing been?
I was talking to a friend about this the other day. If you are, I'm trying to be politically correct as possible.
Just say it's the internet. Fuck.
True,
Shit.
That's true. There's no FAA to answer to. Or FCC, I mean. If you are a manic depressant or bipolar, you do not ever want to do crowdfunding, because you can go from an incredible
I thought you were going to say mushrooms for a second.
No,
that might help actually along the process.
It could help ease it out a little bit. Because, you go from incredible highs one day to incredible lows other days. And most days, you're kind of somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. But for us, it's been really interesting in that, and we talked about it a little bit, but when you get into crowdfunding and, when you kind of go on this like blitz of 30 days to try to get everyone to know about the show, there's no going back. This is it. Like, we're either gonna succeed or we're gonna kind of fall flat on our face. But the thing that we're fortunate enough with is that we know we're gonna make our show. We know it's gonna happen one way or the other. For crowdfunding, we felt like this was just the best way to bring people in on it. To get people involved, because that's what the making of this show is all about, is to involve other people, collaborate, get people in on the ground floor. What better way to do that than to have them have an opportunity to see it from its birth, really?
Yeah, you guys have been making a point of the production to include the behind the scenes, or to include the documenting of everything you're doing. Like, it's very obvious you didn't just decide on the back end, let's just throw up a Kickstarter. You know, like you've made conscious decisions all the way through your production.
Which, despite that, your Kickstarter looks really well done, incredibly professional, especially the rundown
thank him
of
for
the
that.
show.
Well,
we're going to also put a link to that in the video description, along with whatever links you want us to put.
Just search Kickstarter for Dream Riders. It's like the fourth one that comes up. So.
Okay. Are you sure? You know that? Have you done it a few times?
There's a book that if you search for Dream Riders, there's a book that comes up before our show that is called The Dream Rider, something like that. I don't think it's like their picture is like a bird, and hey, the free publicity for the book.
Rider.
Get your soft cover now.
Yeah,
the Dream Riders.
Yeah. But it's talking about trying to bring in the community, and that's been a big part of our story and why we've been focusing so much on the behind the scenes stuff, because we certainly think we have a cool idea for a show and that we want to see made, but the bigger thing is to bring people into our story and invest in us and believe that we are capable of making something cool and really creating jobs in the Atlanta area and this community, because it's such a growing community in like film and stuff. So that's like a really big reason why we're not just saying this is our show, where instead we're saying this is us. Also, this is the show that we're making. Yeah,
you guys have made a real good point. Like I said earlier, your material that you have for everyone to understand what you're going into and what they're investing into if they want to be part of your crowdfunding, is very apparent. And you guys do make a good personal point, as well as, the creative side. It's very business oriented almost, like your Kickstarter.
It is.
Very much.
It really is a business that we've started, and it's a little company that we've started.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's what makes me also believe whether or not you get the crowdfunding, you're going to move ahead, because you're not going to throw away all this planning and effort to just say, oh, well, that was fun to record those episodes that one day and then spend 18 months getting ready to crowdfund.
Yeah, that's what we were really conscious of as we were going through. It's just like we've put so much time into it already. Let's give it its due, and let's try to make it as good as it possibly can be. Give it its moment in the sun, and just see what happens from there.
Yeah.
And you guys also have a few interns and other things like that. Anyone you want to give a shout out to that's helped you guys out lately? Or
how much time do you have? Because it's a long list. It's anyone from our friends and family to complete strangers. I actually had someone interact with me on Twitter today, just throwing out ideas for the shows. Have you considered this? Have you considered that? That's been kind of the most fun of this entire process, is hearing people get so into the show and so into the idea that they think about the show and they know that they can contact us to throw out that idea. So that's been a really interesting experience.
Yeah, it's almost like I said, the idea of reading to write someone's dreams is almost like you can put yourself into that. It's very impressionable. You can say, oh, this is what I would write a dream about, like immediately.
Or even you have your own crazy dreams that you would like to see explored on the show. Like you said, we get tweets and messages all the time from people that are like, hey, I had this dream last night. That would be something cool on the show, and that's totally something we can explore. It's not like it's not a completely serial narrative where we have a designed start point and end point. We have a lot of room to play around with some cool ideas.
No, that's awesome. So, what was the beginning process of this like? Like, you had an idea to make a show called Dream Riders, and then you just started getting people involved.
Yeah, well, going back to what you were saying, it actually kind of was birthed out of an idea from a dream I had, where I just woke up and it felt like it didn't come from myself, and so I just started thinking, like, what if it didn't come from myself? That's an interesting idea. And just being a content creator for the last few years, doing shorts and things like that, I started really thinking about it in terms of what I could do with it. And I started thinking about maybe doing a short film, or maybe just doing a series of sketches based off of this idea. But the more I dove into this idea and the story that was kind of developing, I thought this could make a good web series, possibly a good TV show. That wasn't the goal at the time. But it was really just birthed out of, that idea of just, what if other people wrote your dreams? And, I'm not claiming that I'm anything special or anything like that. I'm just like being in freelance and having a little bit of work under my belt. I started contacting people that I knew in the Atlanta area and said, I kind of have this idea. I'm bouncing it around a little bit. I got in contact with Shay pretty early on. Dalton Lilly, who's our executive producer, plays Sam, and Ben Owen, who's our head writer. And
I know both of them.
Quinn.
They're great guys.
Yes, they're amazing. And we've really kind of developed a family over the last year and a half working together. I got in touch with them, and we just kind of took it from there. And out of it just came a television show.
And it's gotten bigger and bigger in that year of development, where it started as a web series, and we filmed a little pilot, and we didn't release the whole thing because we sat and talked about it and sent it off to some people, got feedback that said, hey, this is great, keep exploring it. Kind of came to the decision, maybe this should be a TV show instead of a web series. And it seemed like a good idea at the time, but it's been definitely a crazy experience.
Well, it's always challenging doing something you've never done before, and launching and selling a concept like that to television networks is a big undertaking, and not as simple as uploading to YouTube.
Sure,
and I felt like as the leader of kind of this team of, I guess we have about like 9 or 10 people that are involved. Kind of on a full-time basis, but I didn't want to burn them out. And I thought that if we were to do this 5 times when we did the web pilot, which we shot over the course of 3 days, we did 3 different locations.
I know, I was there for one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it was really breakneck. We were shooting multicam. We shot on 3 cameras, full cast and crew. And I thought if we did this 5 times, it would be fun, and it would be, a good experience.
And maybe a good exercise in filmmaking.
Yeah, right. But I didn't think that was going to lead to anything long term, because I felt like it was going to burn everyone out. They thought my thought process was that, people would get burnt out and they would want to move on from it after doing it for a year or so. So I said, let's just scrap the web series idea for now. Let's table it, because in the long run, really, it's our friends and family they're the only ones that knew about it at the time. So he said, let's redevelop it for television, and then we'll launch as a television show. So that's kind of where that transition came from.
Yeah.
And I can actually understand that, because when I first heard about the premise of your show, I was almost intimidated by the actual story at first. And I'm like, that would work better as a television show.
That was the point.
In general. But something else that I was actually thinking about while actually watching one of your skits I thought was interesting. Did you actually decide to include almost like a pseudo sci-fi dynamic to the show?
A little bit. I think that's kind of just where we gravitate naturally, because we're all kind of, I guess, I don't want to speak for Dalton and Ben, but we're both definitely more on the sci-fi
for sure
side of things. And we just like poking fun at pop culture, and we feel like that's a great medium to it's very popular. And just naturally talking about dreams is kind of a sci-fi element.
Yeah, if you're like
already,
floating or walking across water or going through space, that's kind of sci-fi.
Yeah, and the subject matter you kind of have to explain in terms of sci-fi, because it's not a natural job. It's something that doesn't actually exist. So you kind of have to explore it from that angle.
And a lot of it too comes from us trying to ground it more in reality, coming up with technologies and things of, they write dreams, but how does that work? It's not like we're just mentally transmitting. There needs to be a machine that makes that happen.
You were mentioning that.
Yeah, that was the thing that was confusing me about earlier. But really, it's one of those things where all that stuff is kind of in the background, and you sort of just have to accept it, and that way you'll be able to enjoy the show a lot more.
Yeah, we were really conscious of that during development
for
too,
sure,
because we thought we have to be able to explain it, but we don't want to be that show that just uses the entire first season, or really for the most part the entirety of your show, just as an exposition piece, because then it gets boring. Your show gets really boring if you have the, not to be offensive, but if you have the Ellen Page type character from inception the entire time, that really just serves as a vehicle to explain your premise to the audience. We thought if we come in right in the middle of this thing while it's all already established and going on, we can help guide our audience when we want to explain stuff to them, but we don't have to explain everything to them off the top. People, as we've, released this stuff and as we've launched our show, a lot of people have asked, like, well, how does this work? What about this? What about that? And the way that we try to explain it is just, we will get there, but we don't want to inundate people right off the top.
Yeah, you just want to give them enough information to where they understand the basic setup of it, and then they're just along for the ride. We don't want people to, and if they do, that's fine and interesting, but we don't want them to be too concerned with like, oh, well, wait, if this wire goes here, how does that wire go there?
Right.
It's a comedic show, the whole point of it is we're exploring dreams and how dreams affect people, and we think that that's a cool enough, fun enough setup to where so much of the science doesn't have to be explained all the time.
Absolutely. And I call it the Interstellar treatment because
Sure.
Interstellar had all this crazy stuff going on in the background. Like, okay, when did we really get spaceships,
Yeah.
that could go to Mars or whatever?
Yeah.
When did we get all that stuff? When did we have spacesuits that, all that stuff? They don't get into the technology. When did we get talking robot assistants?
Right.
But it still looks kind of like current Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just sort of gave you all that stuff and like, this is the world we're going to do this story in, and we're just not going to get wrapped up in it,
Right. It's just, you just kind of have to go, like you said, just go along for the ride. And originally, the idea for the show was actually that our characters lived in an alternate universe and that they used everything was flipped on its side. And that was why dreams were so crazy, because in this alternate universe, you could do anything. As we were going through development, we decided not to go that route because we felt like it was a little too far out there. But we wanted to include elements from that side of the show in this new government-based side of things. So we introduced a character. His name is Barkley. He is the head scientist of this, this top secret organization, Project Lucid. He kind of just serves as like a Doc Brown type character who uses all of his inventions. We're able to push all of that like sci-fi type stuff just through him and his inventions to say, this character who's modeled after like a Doc Brown or a Q from James Bond, he introduces all of these cool little things that we can explore in the show. So that's kind of how we met in the middle during this development process.
Well, it sounds like you guys are off to a great start. I shouldn't even say start. You guys are off to a great pace.
A great middle.
You guys have a great pace to what you're doing right
Thanks,
now.
man.
And we also really want to just say thank you for coming on our show today.
Absolutely.
It was a great interview, and you guys are one of our first sit-down interviews we've done.
Thanks, man.
Setting the tone.
Setting the tone. And we really hope everyone goes and checks out their stuff online. Please check out their Kickstarter page, check out their website, watch some of their clips on their YouTube page. They got great stuff. And if you want to donate a little bit to their Kickstarter, feel free. Or you just want to tell them great job and keep up their momentum. They love comments from the internet. And one of the things Corey and I always get is we put out like 8-9 videos a week on YouTube.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and we're
impressive.
used to comments, but I can see that you guys were blown away by the internet reaching out to you and sort of like responding to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I know the power of some good comments. So if you
especially when it's commenters who are literally like building your project for you.
Right.
Yeah,
It makes our jobs easier if they're throwing us ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So definitely internet. Go check them out. Let them know what you think about
Absolutely.
them. We'll have all the links in the video description. And thank you again, guys, for coming on our show.
Thanks.
Anyway, you
Appreciate it.
guys, this was the Powerful Nerdcast. Make sure and like and comment on the video. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we have an Amazon associate link down below that you can buy anything on. And anything you buy through that link will help out our channel. And we also have a PayPal if you feel you would like to donate to us. Thank you so much. And until next time, Super Kami Guru 9000 out. Damn, I fucked up. The Powerful Podcast, bitches. Okay.
Excellent.